At River Valley Grocers, Mike earned just enough to help his sick mother with medical bills. Working double shifts as a grocery bagger, he noticed an elderly couple being harassed by an aggressive customer over their slow pace at checkout. Despite knowing it might cost him his job, Mike stepped between them, speaking up against the bully. His manager warned him about interfering with customers, but Mike stood firm, helping the couple to their car in the rain. 3 days later, a letter arrived at the store addressed to Mike. The elderly couple were Robert and Sarah Mitchell, founders of the Mitchell Family Foundation. What happened next would change not just Mike's life, but the entire River Valley community forever. Hi everyone, welcome to Mystic Tales. Today, I'm excited to share a new story with you. Mike wiped the sweat from his forehead as he arranged shopping carts in the parking lot of River Valley Grocers. The summer heat made his navy blue uniform stick to his back. He glanced at his watch. 4 more hours until his second shift ended. "Mike, we need you at Register 3 for bagging," Sarah, his supervisor, called from the entrance. Inside the store, the cool air brought brief relief. Mike took his position at Register 3, where Linda, the cashier, was scanning groceries. The afternoon rush meant a steady stream of customers. "My mother's medical bills came in today," Mike told Linda during a quiet moment. "The insurance only covers half of her treatment." Linda looked at him with concern. "That must be tough. Is that why you're working doubles?" "Yes. Been doing this for 3 months now. Mom needs her medication, and someone has to pay for it." The automatic doors opened, and an elderly couple slowly made their way to their register. The man used a cane, carefully guiding his wife, who held on to his arm. Mike noticed they had a small basket with basic items. "Take your time," Mike said to them with a gentle smile. The old man nodded gratefully. "You ain't too big, eh?" As Linda scanned their items, a loud voice broke through the quiet atmosphere. "Can this get any slower? Some of us have places to be." A man in an expensive suit stood behind the elderly couple, holding a few items. He tapped his foot impatiently. "Sir, they're almost done," Mike said politely. The man stepped closer to the elderly couple. "Move it along. This isn't a senior center." The elderly woman's hands trembled as she tried to open her purse. Her husband's grip tightened on his cane. "Back off," Mike stepped between them. "They deserve respect." "Who do you think you are telling me what to do? Get me your manager," the man demanded. Mike stood his ground. "Sir, I'll help you at another register, but I won't let you bully these people." Tom, the store manager, approached quickly. "What's going on here?" "Your employee is being disrespectful," the man in the suit pointed at Mike. I pointed at Mike. "I was protecting our customers, Tom," Mike explained calmly. "This man was harassing them." Tom looked uncertain. "Mike, you know our policy about customer conflicts." "I understand, but I couldn't just watch this happen." The elderly man spoke up. "This young man was defending us. The other fellow was being very unkind." Tom directed the angry customer to another register, then turned to Mike. "We'll talk about this later." Mike helped the elderly couple bag their groceries. "Let me walk you to your car." "Huh?" Outside, the woman touched Mike's arm. "Thank you, dear. Not many would risk their job for strangers." "It's nothing. My mom taught me to stand up for what's right." The old man introduced himself. "I'm Robert, and this is my wife Sarah. Would you write down your name for us?" Mike wrote his full name on a small notepad Sarah offered. They thanked him again and drove away in their modest car. That evening, Tom called Mike into his office. "Customer interactions like that could cost us business, Mike. I understand, but some things are more important than business." Tom sighed. "Just be more careful next time." 3 days passed since the incident. Mike sorted through returned items at Register 6 when Tom approached him. "Hi. Mike, come to my office. There's something we need to discuss," Tom said. In the small office, Tom held an envelope. "This came for you today. It's from the Mitchell Foundation." Mike opened the letter carefully. His eyes widened as he read. Dear Mike, your kindness at River Valley Grocers touched us deeply. We are Robert and Sarah Mitchell of the Mitchell Family Foundation. For 30 years, we've worked quietly in this community. We regularly visit local businesses, observing how people treat others when they think no one important is watching. Mike read aloud. Tom leaned forward. The Mitchells? They fund half the charitable projects in this city. Mike continued reading. We saw how you risked your job to defend us. More importantly, we heard you telling your coworker about working double shifts for your mother's medical bills. Such dedication to family and kindness to strangers is rare. He paused, his hands slightly shaking. They want to meet with me tomorrow at their office downtown. The next morning, Mike entered a modest office building. The Mitchell Foundation occupied a small suite on the 3rd floor. No fancy decorations, just simple, practical furniture. Robert greeted him at the reception. Welcome, Mike. Please, come in. Sarah sat in a comfortable chair, smiling warmly. We've been expecting you, she said as she sat up. I still can't believe you're the founders of the Mitchell Foundation, Mike said. We prefer to stay low-key, Robert explained. It helps us see people's true character. Sarah nodded. We've been visiting local businesses for years. Some people see elderly customers as burdens, but you saw us as human beings. My mother raised me to respect everyone, Mike said. Speaking of Mom, I should get ready for my shift soon. That's actually why we wanted to talk to you, Robert said. We'd like to help with your mother's medical bills. Mike sat straighter. That's very kind, but I couldn't accept such a large gift. We have another proposal, Sarah said. Our foundation needs someone who understands genuine kindness. We'd like to offer you a position as our community outreach coordinator. Robert continued. The salary would more than cover your mother's medical bills. Plus, you'd help us identify other community members who need support. I don't have any experience in charity work, Mike admitted. You have the most important qualification, Sarah smiled. A genuine heart for helping others. The foundation can train you in everything else, Robert added. We've watched how you treat everyone at the store, not just us. That's the kind of person we need. Mike thought about his mother, about the double shifts, about all the people he could help. Could I start after giving proper notice at the store? Of course, Robert smiled. That sense of responsibility is exactly why we chose you. Mike's first month at the Mitchell Foundation opened his eyes to the quiet struggles in River Valley. His desk sat in a small, practical office where he reviewed assistance applications and met with community members. We have a new case today, Sarah said, placing a folder on his desk. The downtown library needs repairs. Their children's reading room has a leaking roof. Mike remembered taking his mother to that library during her better days. I'll visit them this afternoon. At the library, Mike met with Carol, the head librarian. She showed him the water damage. We've tried patching it, but we can't afford proper repairs, Carol explained. Some of our regular families have stopped coming because of the musty smell. In silence, Mike took notes. How many children usually attend your reading programs? About 30 kids every week, many from families who can't afford books at home. Back at the foundation, Mike presented his findings to Robert. The library needs about $15,000 for repairs. They're not asking for anything fancy, just a safe space for kids to read. What do you think we should do? Robert asked. I'd recommend funding the full repair, but maybe we could do more, Mike said. While I was there, I noticed their computers are pretty old. Sarah joined the conversation. What are you suggesting? If we help upgrade their technology center too, more people could use the library for job searches and homework. The total would be around $25,000. Finally, Robert nodded approvingly. Good thinking. But let's not just write a check. How can we involve the community? Mike thought for a moment. What if we match local donations? It could encourage more people to contribute. That's exactly the kind of approach we want, Sarah smiled. Community involvement creates lasting change. Later that week, Mike visited his mother Beth at home. Her color looked better since starting the new treatment the foundation helped provide. "How's the new job?" Beth asked, serving tea in their small kitchen. "It's different from bagging groceries. The Mitchells are teaching me how to really help people." Beth patted his hand. "I always knew your kind heart would lead you somewhere good." "Mom, remember how you used to take me to the library? We're going to help fix it up." "Those were good days," Beth smiled. "Before the medical bills, we could afford little trips like that. Now I can help other families make those memories," Mike said. "The Mitchells don't just give money. They teach people to care for each other." That evening, Mike worked late at the foundation, planning the library fundraising campaign. Robert stopped by his office. "You're catching on quickly," Robert said. "But remember, it's not about the money. It's about bringing people together." "I'm learning that every day," Mike replied. "Each case we handle is another chance to build community." Second, the library fundraising campaign gained momentum in River Valley. Mike organized a community meeting in the library's reading room, where 30 local residents gathered. "The foundation will match every dollar raised," Mike explained to the group. "This isn't just about fixing a roof. It's about preserving a space that belongs to all of us." Linda, his former coworker from the grocery store, raised her hand. "Could we organize a book drive too?" "That's a great idea," Carol the librarian said. "Many of our books are worn out from years of use." A local business owner named David spoke up. "My hardware store can donate some supplies for the repairs." Mike wrote each suggestion on a whiteboard. The community's response touched him deeply. After the meeting, he talked with Robert on the phone. "People are offering what they can," Mike said. "Even small businesses want to help." "That's the real success," Robert replied. "Money fixes the roof, but community involvement fixes the heart of a city." Over the next few weeks, Mike watched the donations grow. School children brought in their piggy banks. Local shops put up donation jars. The grocery store where he used to work set up a roundup program at the registers. Chris and Mike later discussed the journey. Tom, his old manager, called him one afternoon. "Mike, you wouldn't believe how many customers are rounding up their bills for the library. Some are adding whole dollars." "Every cent counts," Mike said. "How's the new bagger working out?" "Good, but he's not you. The elderly customers still ask about you." Sarah visited the library with Mike to check on the progress. Children played quietly in the corner while their parents filled out job applications on the old computers. "Look at this place," Sarah said. "Soon these families will have a better space." "Maybe." "We've raised almost $12,000 so far," Mike reported. "With the foundation's match, we're nearly there." Young mother approached them. "Are you from the Mitchell Foundation? My kids love story time here. Thank you for helping save it." That evening, Mike visited his mother again. She was having a good day, sitting in her favorite chair. "Mike goes inside," Mike said. "The library campaign is working, Mom," Mike said. "Remember that coffee shop you liked? They're donating a portion of their sales this week." "Communities take care of their own," Beth smiled. "Just like you took care of me." The Mitchells taught me that one act of kindness spreads. Remember when I just wanted to help that elderly couple? Now look what's happening. Robert called as Mike was leaving his mother's house. "Mike, Sarah and I have been talking. We'd like you to present your first major foundation proposal tomorrow." The foundation's proposal for Robert was signed by Mike, Sarah, and their children. "What kind of proposal?" "Something bigger than the library. Something that could change more lives in River Valley." The next morning, Mike sat in the foundation's conference room with Robert and Sarah. His proposal papers lay neatly on the table. "While working on the library project, I noticed something," Mike began. "Many people coming to use the computers were looking for jobs or medical information." Sarah nodded. "Go on." "I'd like to propose a community resource center. We could use the empty building next to the library. It's been vacant for 2 years." Mike showed them his research. "The building owner is willing to lease it at a reduced rate. We could create a space with job training programs, basic health screenings, and financial literacy classes. What inspired this idea? Robert asked. My own experience. When Mom got sick, I didn't know where to turn for help. Many families face the same confusion. Mike laid out the budget. With careful planning, we could start small and grow based on community needs. Local doctors have already offered to volunteer monthly. The community college wants to provide free computer classes. Sarah studied the numbers. This is well thought out, Mike. Very practical. The library campaign showed me how many people want to help. They just need a way to connect. Robert smiled. You've learned the most important lesson. Real change happens when communities work together. The center could open 3 days a week at first, Mike continued. We'd need 2 full-time staff members and volunteer coordinators. Later that day, Robert called a meeting with the foundation's board. Mike presented his proposal, keeping his voice steady despite his nerves. A board member asked, "How will this be different from existing services?" "We'll coordinate with other organizations, not compete with them," Mike explained. "Our focus is bringing resources together in one accessible location." The board approved the proposal. As Mike left the meeting, Sarah touched his arm. He said, "Remember that day at the grocery store? You didn't just help 2 elderly people. You showed us exactly who you are." Mike thought about his journey. "I never expected any of this. I was just trying to do the right thing." "That's why it worked," Robert said. "Genuine kindness has a way of growing." 3 months later, Mike stood in the newly renovated resource center. The library next door had a new roof, updated computers, and fresh books. Local volunteers staffed the welcome desk. His mother Beth sat in a comfortable chair in the waiting area, talking with Sarah Mitchell. "Your son changed this community," Sarah told Beth. Beth smiled proudly. "He changed my life first. Now he's helping others do the same." Mike watched people enter the center, each with their own story, their own needs. A former grocery store bagger now had the means to help hundreds of families, all because he chose kindness. One ordinary day at work. "Ready for another day?" Robert asked, joining him. "Ready," Mike replied. "There's still so much good we can do." Loved this story? Tap that like button and subscribe to Mystic Tales for more. Let us know how this story made you feel with a single word in the comments. Word in the comments.